Yeah, this is more of a quick one again. As you can see, I've got a little bit of new equipment. So you can now see my dumbass in fucking 4K, 60 FPS, Ultra HD,
100 FPS, Super Nintendo, iOS 49, Blu-ray, ultraviolet radiation, 1080p, PlayStation.
whatever the fuck it is. This is more of a spontaneous video, honestly speaking. I really don't know as to what to upload these days anymore. So I'm just going with the flow, honestly speaking. Let me stop yapping for a second and just get to the point that I want to make. As you've probably seen in the thumbnail, just recently there has been a new announcement from Halo on Twitter. We stand together, brothers to the end, we are the banished. And let me show you this. So, I wanted to go over a couple of things regarding Halo. At the moment it isn't really doing that hot, or at least in my perception it isn't really doing that hot. And many people are also having the same resentment, where they're essentially thinking of it being too underwhelming, or at least like the updates that are coming are just shop updates at this point, you know, just overblown cosmetics. That if you have seen my previous video on the topic, I've already mentioned that the feature that we still haven't had implemented, where we can buy individual items, is just not present at all for the entirety of the lifespan that this game had already. It's just mind-boggling to me. Let me just go over a couple of things. I don't necessarily think that Halo Infinite is a bad game per se. You know, I think it does a lot of things that are very good. You know, I have sort of adapted a little bit more towards the gameplay mechanics of the game itself. I've gotten around as to like getting more comfortable with experimenting different types of movement abilities and just overall like different actions that you can partake, as well as get a better understanding as to how weapons work. So outside of that, I want to go over the rotation of just like the content that is being presented towards the community, right? So as you can see, I've almost finished the Yappening 2. We have still 7 days left, and then we're going to get hit with the banishment or the banished update, whatever it's going to be called, the operation for that. And I feel like when it comes to just unlocking or progressing or keeping that player retention, Halo Infinite's multiplayer isn't necessarily doing it for me. I can't necessarily say whether or not that's a personal issue or whether that's also something that is shared amongst the community, because I've seen a couple of instances where people have also presented the same experience. They're like, hey, I can play this game for a couple of hours, but then I'm just losing interest, or the steam is getting out of me. The same thing can be said for my girlfriend and also for Mizango.
Pause.
You know, they're playing for a little bit and then they're hopping off, switching over to something else. This is a little bit sad to me because I genuinely do enjoy playing with other people when it comes to Halo and or genuinely multiplayer games that at least I am familiar with. I'm saying in terms of my friend circle, which isn't that great of it all, but like, you know. My main gripe is that I am playing the game and I have the Heroes of Reach, but for some reason the drive to complete it is just not there. Like, I feel the rewards that we're getting out of the pass itself are just overblown, right? The main focus of Halo Infinite's multiplayer is to essentially get cosmetics. And while nameplates, emblems and shit are something that you can customize on the side, obviously it's somewhat of more personalization, which is all the more better. I don't know, man. I genuinely do not know. Like, I feel the armor coatings, which have been talked so many times before, and just keychains and whatever, like, there's so much stuff that I genuinely do not want. I'm just looking forward towards unlocking armor things and armor items, and armor parts, and colors, which still is mind-boggling. You know, why can't we just pick and choose whatever color scheme we want? Why do we need to buy it separately? And I'm not sure if it's still an issue or not in the current patch, but at launch, as many of you probably know, you had to buy or at least like get the same color scheme for different kinds of items, like for instance an armor core or like a weapon in particular, and that would essentially be just separated in each category. You didn't have a single color palette that you could apply to everything, but you had to rather unlock it for separate weapons, which is also something that you're doing in Halo Infinite's campaign, right, with all of the Mjolnir armor lockers, where you're getting individual color schemes which are basically the same, just for different items. I got a little bit of off the track here, but essentially you're getting the point. Player retention is just not really being upkept. You know, there is not much that is being presented towards the audience outside of just more cosmetics in the shop, which are overblown, which you still can't buy individual items. If I genuinely want just the armor coating, I have to buy the bundle. For things I have to spend money for things that I don't even want in order to gain something that I want. And it doesn't seem like P4P or whoever is now upkeeping maintenance on the game is going to back down. More or less they're going to double down on it. And I genuinely just don't know where to go from here. Like, it's actually frustrating me for a lot of reasons. And I just wanted to talk about it because it's been on my mind for a long time now. I enjoy the game, but it's very frustrating, especially when it comes to grinding out the XP in itself. Like, as soon as you're getting done with all of the challenges, you are getting bottlenecked to a certain degree unless you're having a premium battle pass, which unlocks an extra challenge slot, but it's just not enough for you to like keep grinding. I feel like the dopamine that is getting out, yeah, like I said, the dopamine is just not enough. I don't necessarily want to blame it on FOMO or modern gaming, but I remember back in the Call of Duty days when you were just playing, you were playing it for fun, you genuinely had fun, and you were unlocking stuff left, right, and center just because you were playing the game. But here, when you're playing after a certain while, you're just getting bottlenecked and you have to wait until a specific amount of time has passed in order to get that same dopamine rush, I guess. I feel like we're slowly getting to a point where everyone is going to, for better or for worse, hop off the game. And I'm not even saying that to damage the reputation of Halo Infinite in particular, but more or less, I genuinely am feeling like this is a prediction or at least this is a prediction that is going to happen at some point or another, where fan base is just going to get upset, or they will just still play, but these players are going to play because they don't share the same resentment as I do, or at least have the same issues with the game. They're just playing it for free, they don't necessarily care. They're here to have a great time, and honestly, if you're one of those people, hey, more power to you, man. I don't know, man. I genuinely do not know as to what to expect with the banishment update, or the banished update. Like I said, you can see in the comment section, this looked like an actual Halo trailer for a second and I got hyped. Then I realized it's just a trailer for $30 shop bundles. Oh, holy cow, you guys are adding more armor I can buy. My wallet can only handle so much. I'm going to keep buying everything in the store so we can get more Halo. Spartan siding with the banished. Lol, no. They look handsome, looking forward to seeing what the new store items will be. Alright, placing your bets on how heavily monetized this will be. I'm betting all the shop armor will total to $300. Thank you for making another shop update so that I can spend literally nothing on it, because $20 packs should be banned. No, I don't necessarily think that $20 packs should be banned. More or less, the value that you're getting out of those $20 should be raised, because what we're getting so far is basically nothing. It's a stinky fart. Hey, Fallout 4 with all its DLCs can be bought for all roughly, the same argument as usual. You can buy full-fledged games on sale with this type of money, and this is more than valid. Honestly speaking, this genuinely is more than valid, and I feel like game developers should reconsider as to how they're pricing all of their items in the future. I mean, obviously with Tekken 8, for instance, one legacy costume costs around $4. I mean, that's still somewhat acceptable, I guess, in the scheme or in consideration that you're just going to play with that costume and it has more or less a cosmetic value. You can choose whether or not to pick it. One thing I forgot to mention while recording this initially is that the idea behind the cosmetics, in comparison to Tekken, right? You're seeing the costume that you have purchased for $4 for the most part, because obviously you have a full body vision, or at least like a full body view of the character that you're playing. But when it comes for Halo, most of the time, 90% of the gameplay itself, you don't necessarily see the armor that you're wearing, right? Like, obviously you have some obscurities when it comes to like certain shoulder pads and whatnot, but in most cases you don't really see it. And where's the point? Honestly, there's no real progression system outside of just ranking and possibly ranked matches. But even then, that scene is just basically dead. Or at least like it's not as big as many people make it seem to look like. On the outside, you barely even hear from it. And especially considering the fact that I've also tried to get into ranked matches, estimated times for just waiting in queues are ridiculous. Especially for me, considering that these can take up to 5 minutes, and even then, it's not even guaranteed to get me into a match. But I can't seem to find the comment. I was saying, remember when you got scammed for the campaign that never got finished, or at least left on a cliffhanger. Yeah, I can't seem to find it, but essentially that was the rough outline, where essentially someone was like, hey, remember spending $60 on a game that didn't even conclude its story. I mean, take that logic and apply it to every single Halo game that was like presented. I don't know whether or not it's the same for Halo 5 because I haven't played that one, but for instance with Halo 3, it ended on a cliffhanger, so already disproving that fact, or at least like the roast or the argument that is presented here doesn't really make much sense, because there are multiple games that have a cliffhanger as an ending, and you're spending a full price game on it, or at least like full price with $60-$70. But that's all I really had to say towards this. I just wanted to rant a little bit, get my feelings out, because like I said, I've sat on it for a long time now. I do want to get all of the battle passes done in Halo Infinite, I'm gonna be honest with you. I do enjoy the game, so yeah. Maybe I will be able to do some content for it. I have no idea what to do, honestly. When I'm playing, I'm just mostly playing by myself. So there is nothing much going on because I'm just locking in. I'm not really good at the game, but I'm getting my mind wrapped around it. But yeah. Hope you guys have a good day. Stay grinding.